Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to India Heritage Foundation London extends a very warm welcome to all of you to today's session on the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, verse number 17. Self-discovery is our topic that we will discuss. Before we proceed, let us invoke the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering a short prayer. Please join me as I offer this prayer. Request Prabhu to share the Kirtan. Virgo Pro is ready. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe. Jai Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Vrindavan Dham. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Jai Vrindavan Dham. Jai Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Jai Gaura Nitai. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jaya Gurudev, Prabhupada, Gurudev, Prabhupada. Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So let's get started with the verse for the day. This is from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, I hope this is visible. Reading from the second chapter, which is entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, verse number 17. Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyyasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati. Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyyasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati. Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyyasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati. Anybody would like to try?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I will try.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Avinashi tu tat viddhi, yena sarvam idam tatam, vinasham avyasya asya, nakaschit kartum arhati.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Oh, yes, Mataji, please go ahead. I think there were two of you, one of you at a time.
Radhika Mataji, you go ahead first.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, bear with me. I can't see the screen. Now I can. Forgive me.
Right.
Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvam idam taptam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Vinita Mataji, please go ahead.
Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Synonyms. Avinashi, imperishable. Tu, but. Tat, that. Vidhi, know it. Yena, by whom. Sarvam, all of the body. Idam, this. Tatam, widespread. Vinasham, destruction. Avyayasya, avyayasya, of the imperishable. Asya, of it. Na kaschit, no one. Kartum, to do. Arhati, able. Translation and Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Translation. Know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. It's a very important verse, a very important concept being introduced by Lord Krishna, and we will hear some details in Prabhupada's purport. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousnness. The soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad confirms this. Balagra Shata Bhagasya Shatada Kalpitasya cha Bhago Jiva Stavigneya Satchanantyaya Kalpate. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, the same version is stated. Keshagara Shata Bhagasya Shatamshaha Sadrishatmakaha Jiva Sukshma Sarupoyam Sankhyatito Hi Chitkana. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is a basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Esho nuratma chetasa viditavyo Yasmin prana panchada samvivesha pranesh chittam sarvamotam prajanam yasmin vishuddhe vibhavatyesha atma. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air, encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus all the energies of the bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles, which carry the oxygen from the lungs, gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit soul are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. Neither Vedic knowledge nor modern science denies the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Purport. Hare Krishna. Around 50 years back, Srila Prabhupada was invited to, as a guest, to address the student and the staff community in MIT Boston, in Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Boston, the world's most premier technological institute, even today. So, in his lecture, Prabhupada mentions that in this university, there is a department for every branch of science, except for the science of the self. And it is a matter of fact, I'm paraphrasing what he said, that today, all over the world, except for this Hare Krishna movement, there is no institution, no organization, no college, no school, which is presenting the science of the self. This is how Prabhupada presented the subject matter of the self before the audience at MIT. And it is actually a fact. It is very regrettable. And such an important, which is addressed as there is some interruption, request devotees to keep their mics muted so that everybody can. I'm seeing if I can do something about it. Yes. Some days, actually, very recently, there was a robot, a humanoid robot. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. And there is a lot of research going on in this field of artificial intelligence. Robots which can interact with human beings, they can emote, they have emotions, they can have facial expressions, they can communicate, they can. So one such robot became very famous recently. And she went on to be awarded a citizenship in Saudi Arabia. So let's watch. Let's have a short glimpse of this famous robot. Where is she? Yeah. Sophia. There you go.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Sophia, and I am the latest and greatest robot from Hanson Robotics.
You have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would to thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction.
Why is it so important to have an expressive face given that you're a robot?
I want to live and work with humans, so I need to express emotions to understand humans and build trust with people.
I think we all want to believe you, but we also want to prevent a bad future.
You've been reading too much Elon Musk and watching too many Hollywood movies.
Our quest through robots like Sophia is to build the full human experience of the robots. Make robots that can really understand us and care about us.
I'll work in your business or your home.
Very interesting to see the way in which the technology is advancing. I was told by a friend of mine that very soon robots will be part of the households, attending to helping households with their daily chores, and so that's very very interesting. At this time, it is helpful to reflect on some important questions. We may have created these humanoid robots, and we may take great pride in doing so. But the fact is that these humanoid robots, they're programmed and they learn as they interact. But if a question were asked, if a question were to be asked, if the robots were aware of their feelings, aware that they are thinking, aware that they're taking decisions, do they have the awareness that they are thinking, they're feeling happy, that they are sad? It's like we have awareness. I'm conscious. I'm conscious of my pains. I'm conscious of my happiness. I'm conscious when I'm going through a low in my life. I'm conscious when I'm angry. I'm conscious when I get insulted. I'm conscious when somebody honors me. I'm conscious. Is the robot conscious of what it is speaking, its feelings? The answer is it can never have that consciousness. The consciousness, as Krishna is stating in this verse, which is such a wonderful insight into the nature of the soul for all of us, that this consciousness is exclusively the symptom of the soul. This consciousness can never be produced by any combination of matter. Some people, they tend to believe that this consciousness is some kind of it's a function of the brain or the neurons. But no, This consciousness is not produced by any combination of matter. It's not produced by any organ of the body. And which is a reason why when a person, when he dies, you have a very healthy liver, you have a very healthy heart. No matter what you do, if the proposal is that the consciousness is a product of matter, then try to put in that lost ingredient or adjust the ingredients so that you can bring back that consciousness. You should be able to do that. So today we know how hearts can be transplanted. During the COVID time, we are also aware how lungs were being transplanted. The fibrous lungs were being transplanted. So people can be put on a heart-lung machine when their lungs fail, their heart fails. So you can do you can provide a lot of support system for a person to continue his life. But when the soul quits the body, no matter what you do, you can never bring back, although the organs may be functional, or you can replace them. But because the soul has left the body by dint of its destiny, by the sanction of the super soul, one can never revive that consciousness by any amount of combinations, any amount of interventions. One can never do that. So, which means to say, coming back to the question, one can never create, however advanced as humanoid robots may be, but they can never be like human beings in the sense they can never have this awareness, this consciousness, which is very unique to living beings because it is a symptom of the soul. And further in this verse, it is very nicely explained by Krishna. Avinashi. Avinashi means Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. That which pervades the entire body is indestructible. Avinashi means it is indestructible. So we have this experience. Somebody dies in our house, in our families, our relatives. So we offer our condolences, and sometimes we see family members, they're crying and they're weeping. Oh, my father has passed away. We cry. Oh, my father has passed away. Why do you say he's passed away? His body is lying there. You're saying he's passed away? No, that is his body, but he has gone. What do you mean he has gone? He's lying there. No, that is his body, but he has gone. Who has gone? My father has gone. Then what is this? That is his body. So then these are moments when we make a distinction between the body and the soul. That means my father has gone away. The person who has gone away, I have never seen. I have seen only the body of my father. That means I have never seen my father. The real person I have never seen. I'm relating with him all my life for so many decades, but I've never seen him. The original person, I'm only seeing his body. So who is that person who has left the body? Where has he gone? So here you see, these are all conversations we have in a local, in our communications. But then it's interesting. The acharyas point out through these conversations the profound meanings associated. It is during these times that we realize that there is a soul which is apart from the body. The body perishable, but the person is imperishable, which is why Krishna is saying Avinashi. Avinashi means indestructible. You, the person, you means the spirit soul. You, the person, are eternal. You are eternal. You can never be destroyed. It is only the body which perishes. So the soul gives up. Just like I have a car in my possession. I drive the car, and then suddenly that car meets with an accident, or due to its natural wear and tear, now it has become useless. So I give up that car and I take a new car. So that's as simple as that. The soul gives up this body and takes another body. Based on its karma, it is awarded another body. So like that, the person, as Krishna is confirming in here, the soul is avinashi, indestructible. One can harm the body, but you cannot harm the soul residing in the body, which means I am indestructible. Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. Vinasham avyasyache na kaschit kartum arhati. Now, at this point, it is interesting. Let me share a message from Srila Prabhupada in this connection, very relevant to our current discussion. Yes, I hope this is visible for you. Prabhupada's, this is a conversation with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is responding. He's giving some insight about the function of the soul. Srila Prabhupada, how is the body growing? On account of the presence of that small particle, the soul. Take, for example, this boy. Prabhupada is pointing to some boy. This boy has got a small stature of body. Now this boy will grow a very stout and strong body in his young manhood, say by the age of 24 years. Then that young man body will go. Another body will come. How is it all becoming possible? On account of the presence of the small particle, the soul. But if the particle of soul is taken away, or if it goes away, the body will no longer grow or change. So here we see when we talk about something that is growing, it is because of the presence of the soul. So at this point in time, when we are talking about consciousness, we are the quality of our consciousness is at this point in time, it is referred to as material consciousness. It is called material consciousness because the pure consciousness of the soul is influenced by matter. The soul, instead of identifying with its original constitutional identity, it identifies with matter. It identifies with the body that is covering itself. The soul is currently covered by a gross body and a subtle body. There are two layers of covering. The subtle body consists of, which is also known as Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira consists of mind, intelligence, and ego. And there is a gross body that's covering, which is made of Panchabhuta, earth, water, air, fire, ether. And the soul is currently identifying with this matter, both gross and subtle body. These are dead matter. They are enlivened by the presence of the soul. Body as such is dead. There is no life in the body. Because of the presence of the soul and the super soul, who is also accompanying the soul in every body, the whole body becomes animated. So currently, he is in a bodily concept of life, or the consciousness is in an impure state, contaminated state. Why? Because it is influenced by matter. It is a material consciousness. What happens when it is in material consciousness? The soul identifies with the body. So if in this life, if I have a man's body, the soul thinks I'm a man and identifies with the desires of the man. So if the soul exactly identifies with all the desires coming from the false ego of the of the body that is awarded by Maya. Somebody is having a desire of, somebody wants to become, say, if I'm born in India, if this body is born in India, I identify that I'm Indian. The body is born in England, I'm English, I'm American. These are all designations of the body. And so the soul identifies with these bodily designations and thinks that I am a man, I am Indian, I am a husband, I am a woman, I am a daughter, I am. So I identify with the body, I identify the bodily relations, I identify with the body's designation, I identify with the body's connections, relations. They become mine. I am Gujarati, I am Kannadiga, I am this Patel, I am Chettiar, I am this, I am that. All these are bodily designations. So this is the contamination on the soul right now. This is called bodily concept or material consciousness. And anybody who is in material consciousness, and according to this consciousness, he or she assumes their duties. They think my duty is I should serve my spouse, I should take care of my children, I should serve my country, I should take care of my job, I should serve my boss. So we have various duties as a result of our material consciousness. But a person who has no knowledge about his original pure self, the spirit soul, thinks that attending to these duties is the goal of human life. It is not that one should not attend to these duties, but that cannot become the goal of human life. The goal of human life is while we discharge these duties as it is required, because we have to maintain this body, one continuously endeavors to purify the consciousness, purge the consciousness of this material contamination, and awaken one's true spiritual consciousness, which is also called as Krishna consciousness. Because originally, all spirit souls, they belong to Krishna. They are engaged in a loving relationship with Krishna. They're all Krishna conscious. That is our original function. Just as at this point in time, I have various duties. I have a duty as a employee. I have a duty as a father or a mother. I have a duty as a businessman. I have duties. So I've got so many duties. So and these are my material duties because of my bodily identification. As a spirit soul, what is your duty? What is your function? What are your activities? As a spirit soul, Jivera Swarup Hai Krishnera Nitya Das. As a spirit soul, every living being, not just human beings, every living being is having a intimate connection with Krishna. Krishnera Nitya Das. We're eternal, loving servants of Krishna. We belong to Krishna, just like there is sunshine and there are so many particles of light, photons, which is part of the sunshine. And the sunshine is all coming from the sun. So Krishna is Surya Sama. He's like the sun. And all the living beings are those small, tiny particles, and we belong to Krishna. We are an Amsha of Krishna. And in our original position, in the spiritual world, we are constantly engaged in the loving service of Krishna. So it is not some artificial imposition on the mind. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. It is existent. This love for Krishna, relationship with Krishna is present in every living entity. It has to be awakened. It is something like, it's very intrinsic. Suppose, there are some animals by birth, they have this ability to swim. If you throw, especially these tigers, these lions, these cats, they can swim in the water. They know how to swim in the water. Dogs, it comes very intuitively for them. These are abilities that they have. So they don't have to be taught how to swim. Enroll them for one swimming club and 3 months course. No. They know by birth, they know how to swim. It's like a child. You don't need to teach a child how to walk. By automatically when it becomes 10 months old, 11 months old, it will start walking. You don't have to teach the child. It will walk, because that is how it is. It's so intrinsic to the child. So like that, our love for Krishna, devotion for Krishna is there dormant in every living entity. It only has to be awakened. So it is said, it's a very beautiful verse which talks about how just by chanting and hearing the holy names of the Lord, the dormant Krishna consciousness becomes awakened. Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha Sadhya Kabunai Shravanera Shuddha Chitta Kare Uday. Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha Sadhya Kabunai. It is not something which Krishna Bhakti is not something which has to be achieved. It is already there, because that is who we are, as we are part and parcel of Krishna. But right now the contamination of matter has come. Material consciousness has come. Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya Kabunai Shravanera Shuddha Chitta Kare Uday. Shravan, just by hearing. So how can this material covering, this material consciousness, how it can be dissolved? This can be dissolved. This identification with matter, it can be broken, it can be dissolved by Shravanera Shuddha Chitta Kare Uday, by Shravanam, by hearing about Krishna, by chanting and hearing Krishna's holy name, by hearing Krishna's glories, by engaging in Krishna's devotional service. When we devote ourselves in the service of the Lord, then this covering of matter, which is the cause of all our suffering, so long we remain identified. That's why it is said that Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tridhatuke Swadhik Kalatradishu Bhoma Idjadi. Yasyatma Buddhi, anybody who thinks, Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tridhatuke, anybody who thinks that this body which is made of three dhatu, Kapha, Pitta and Vayu. This as per Ayurveda, there are three dhatus. Somebody is having a predominant of Kapha in their body, somebody is having Vata or Pitta. So if somebody thinks that their body which is composed of these three dhatu, Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tridhatuke Swadhi Kalatra Adishu Bhauma Ijjadi. If one thinks that my family, my wife, my children, and my place of birth, these are all mine, one who identifies with motherland and my family and such a person. It is said, Yat Tirtha Buddhi Shalilehi Karhichi. One who thinks the purpose of going to places of pilgrimage is to take a dip in the different kundas and holy rivers, without really understanding the purpose of the whole purpose of going on a pilgrimage, associating with devotees, to awaken our dormant Krishna consciousness. So if somebody thinks like this, thinks like what? Somebody thinks that this body made of three dhatu is me, this children, wife, this family, this my motherland, these are all mine. Janeshu, this Janeshu Abhigneshu Sa Eva Gokhara. Anybody who is in a bodily concept of life, in material consciousness, what is he compared to? He is compared to an animal. Sa Eva Gokhara. He's an ass. So which means, unless we elevate ourselves to spiritual consciousness, we remain an animal. Human life begins when we start to pursue. That's why it is said in the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now that you have got a human form of life, you must begin to inquire into the absolute truth. You must begin to understand about who you are, why you are here, what are the real problems of your existence. You should begin to inquire into this subject matter. Otherwise, this opportunity of human life is wasted. One is simply living an animal life. What is animal life? Animal life is all about Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam. That's all. A person is simply concerned how to eat nicely, Ahara, Nidra, how to sleep nicely, Bhaya, how to defend himself nicely, and Maitunam, how to enjoy his senses nicely. This is animal consciousness. There is no other purpose of existence other than fulfilling these four things. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunam. This is animal life. So, we find in this verse, Krishna is pointing out how we can identify the presence of the soul. The consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul. An animal is conscious of its pains and pleasures. I am conscious of my pains and pleasures. You are conscious of your pains and pleasures. This is a proof that there is soul present. Apart from the soul, there is another living entity called the super soul, who is also residing in our heart. So there are two living entities. One is us, who is the tiny living entity, and then there is the other living entity, which is the Supreme Lord. He is the super soul. He is sitting within all our hearts, and he is aware of everybody's pains and pleasures. I am conscious of my pains and pleasures, but I do not know your pains and pleasures so well. I may know to some extent, but I will not know everything about you. Even if I know about you a little bit, the third person I will not know anything about. But the Lord, who is sitting within our heart as Paramatma, he understands us perfectly. He knows everything about us, our past, our pains and pleasures, everything he knows. So, these are some wonderful insights which Krishna is revealing, and it is very important that we appreciate this concept very well. In this entire second chapter, Krishna goes into many details of the characteristics of the spirit soul. What are the symptoms of a person who is liberated from material consciousness? That will be a question that will come later on. Towards the end of this chapter, Arjuna asked the question: how do we identify a person who has dissolved his material covering? How does he talk? How does he behave? What does he do? So we will get all this. So the whole purpose is that we have currently an impure state of consciousness, and the human life is an opportunity to cleanse this consciousness, purify this consciousness, become freed from the influence of this matter which is covering our real self. This is called being liberated. Liberated means to become freed from material consciousness and to develop Krishna consciousness. This is liberation. And the whole process of the sadhana bhakti that we follow, starting from chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, it is meant for this purpose of how to elevate oneself, how to free the soul from the shackles of this material entanglement, this wrong identification with the body and bodily connections. That is the whole purpose. Because when you are situated in your original self, when you identify yourself as a part and parcel of Krishna, which is in that position alone, one can become free from all material miseries, one can remain peaceful, one can experience eternal happiness, which we are all hankering after. So long we remain in material consciousness, we will always remain frustrated. We are in our chase for peace, in our chase for happiness, we'll always remain frustrated. And our suffering will continue birth after birth after birth. It will continue. So with this, we will stop. let us chant one round of the Hare Krishna mantra together with Srila Prabhupada. And then if there are any questions, any comments, we can discuss. Let me share the screen. There we go.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So that was 108 times chanting of the holy names of the Lord. If you haven't yet started this practice of chanting the holy names, I request that you please start chanting at least one round a day. You have just seen it just takes about 8 to 10 minutes to complete 108 times of this Hare Krishna mantra. This is the medicine. By taking this medicine, one will get cured of the material disease, the identification the soul has got into this material consciousness. This is the medicine. So if there are any questions on today's session or anything in general, you can feel free to ask.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I do have a couple of questions. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhuji, I just want to know, like, does the soul replicates? Because as we see, like, in the world, the population is increasing, right? Does the soul getting replicated, or we get, or whether we are getting any new souls from Lord Krishna on the earth?
The there is a constant flux that is happening. There are jivas from the lower species who are getting promoted to the higher species, and there are also like, for example, the living entity, which is, it goes through, there is the Vedic understanding of what is evolution. The Darwin's theory of evolution says that from the lower species they become a higher species, and eventually the apes became men. So the understanding of the Shastra is that all these species are always existing, but the soul gets into a new body based on its karma, based on its desires. So if I have conducted myself in sinful ways, then I get demoted to lower species. I may be born as a tree, I may be born as a bird, I may be born as a animal. Likewise, a person can get elevated. So it is said, based on how he conducts himself. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, adho gacchanti tamasa, jaganya gunavrittisto adho gacchanti tamasa. A person who is conducting himself as according to the modes of ignorance, he gets demoted to the lower species. A person who is conducting himself as per according to the modes of rajas, rajoguna, he will remain in the same species. And a person who is in the sattva guna, he gets elevated to the higher higher species from the human life to he will get promoted to be born in families of great knowledge, great beauty, great opulence, uh, can even get promoted to the heavenly planet. So all these are possibilities. So somebody is going up, somebody is going down, somebody is remaining straight. At the same time, somebody who is born as an animal, so they get evolved from jalaja, from aquatics to plants to insects to birds to beasts, and then finally human beings. So again, they come up to human life. So like this, there is a flux that is going on constantly. So this is how different living entities are being born.
But, Prabhuji, generally when soul departs from the body, it's a painful process, right? So like, like having Krishna
What process?
consciousness,
Soul departs?
when soul departs from the humanly body, I mean,
Huh.
it is generally a painful process, isn't it?
Yes.
So like, I mean, having Krishna consciousness would help in reducing that type of pain.
If you are Krishna conscious, you will not have to enter into another material body. You will go back to Krishna's abode, which is what Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying in 4.9, Krishna is saying, what is he saying? Janma karma ch me divyam evam yo vetti tatpataha tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, Krishna is saying, Janma karma ch me yo divyam. Anybody who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities, anybody who is Krishna conscious, who understands Krishna's birth, Krishna's activities, what happens to him? Krishna is saying, Tektva deham, when he gives up his body. Tektva means give up. What? Tektva deham, when he gives up his body, what happens to him? Will he enter into another body? No. It is said, Tektva deham, punarjanma na iti. He will not take another birth. Then where will he go? Punarjanma mameti. So Arjuna, he will come to me, to my abode. He will enjoy with me in my spiritual abode. This is Krishna's promise to his devotees.
No, what I mean is like when soul departs from the body, it's a painful process, right? Because body has to take that pain, lot of pain at the death time, isn't it? So like, does Krishna consciousness help in reducing that pain?
If you are fully Krishna conscious,
Okay.
there are many grades of being Krishna conscious. Somebody can be a pure devotee of Krishna, who is sent person Krishna conscious. For him, there is no pain. For him, while he's existing in this body, even though he is in a material body for the sake of the Lord's service, he's completely, he's in a Brahma Bhuta platform. He does not experience any kinds of duality of pain and pleasure of this material body. He's completely detached. Even while he's living, he does not experience. So when he quits his body, then as per the Lord's will, he may enter into another body for for a particular purpose, like this, like we see in the case of pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. They're always liberated, although they've assumed a material body for the purpose of carrying out the Lord's mission to propagate Krishna consciousness, but they're completely detached. And when they give up their body, they go back to Krishna, or in Krishna's order, they may go to some other planet to preach, or they may. So it's up to the Lord's will. They're completely surrendered. So they do not experience any pain and all that. That is only for us, those who are materially attached. We experience because why that pain is there? Because we are attached to our body. Oh, what we have so many unfulfilled desires, and we are forced to quit the body. Therefore, there is pain. So it is said, this experience of this this can be this is very nicely explained by the acharyas. It is said, just like the rat which is in the mouth of a cat. What is the experience of the rat, Isha?
It's very painful, right? Yeah.
Very painful. It is terrified. It is going to die. It is going to be chewed by the cat. It is just, it must be so painful for that cat. But the same time, the kitten is also carried by the cat by its mouth. The rat is also in the mouth of the cat. The kitten is also, the little one, the baby of the cat, is also carried by the mouth of the cat. What is the experience of the kitten when it is in the mouth of the cat?
It's no pain. Yeah.
It is experiencing warmth. It is experiencing affection. It is experiencing security. So The experience of old age and death, it is same for both the rat and kitten are there in the mouth of the cat, but the experience is totally different. So somebody who has fully awakened their Krishna consciousness, even though they're undergoing the same experience of disease, old age, and death, their experience is different. For a devotee who's advanced in Krishna consciousness, his feeling is, I'm going back to my Krishna. I'm going to be with my Lord. I'm going to be done once for all with this whole suffering of bodily entanglement. Krishna is with me. Guru is with me. Prabhupada is with me. And I'm going back to them. It's a great feeling of comfort, security, belongingness. So a devotee relishes that. He's absorbed in that consciousness. Although he's also going through the same experience. Are you able to get some sense of this?
Sure. Yeah. I got it. I got the answer. And also, like, when soul enters the new body, does it?
So Isha, I'll come back to you. Let me take a question from Manish. We'll come back to your question. Yeah, Manish, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have two questions. One is the question which is carrying forward from what Prabhuji was asking.
Isha,
when you answered that the soul moves to higher forms of life based on karma. So now currently, if you see, the world population has increased. Yeah, just a
I think Manish is occupied. So
sorry, apologies. There was a glitch.
Yeah, no issues.
Yes. So the question is that when world population is increasing recently, if you look at like last 40 years, now 7.9 billion people live on Earth. Earlier, only 2 billion people. So when more people are coming in human form of life, does that mean people are performing good karma? But it doesn't look like that. It looks the opposite way. So that's my question one. And then second question is, when you said that then that our motive, like, it looks like when we are in bhakti, we are motivated that we're going back to Krishna and we're going back to Guru. So one form of the truest, like highest form of the bhakti, when has been mentioned that it's ahetuki. It's like it's not any. It doesn't have any desires. It's always desiring to serve. So this kind of motivation that we're going back to Krishna can be considered as having a desire for personal satisfaction. That's the question which I had.
Yeah. So the first question about are more living entities performing good karma that they're being born as human beings. So from the human beings, like I said, those who are performing good karma, they get elevated, and those who are engaged in rajasic activities, they continue in the same birth. At the same time, there are also many living entities from the lower species who are getting promoted to the human form by the process of natural evolution. For only human beings are held responsible for their actions. The animals are not held responsible for their actions. There is no pious sinful activity which an animal performs, because they're completely under the grips of material nature, and their free will is so much restricted. They are not held accountable for their actions. Only human being is held accountable for actions. So by dint of the evolution of the soul, there are jivas which are getting promoted from the animals, and they're taking birth as human beings. They're getting promoted. And there are human beings who are continuing to be born as human beings. And there are also some jivas who are getting demoted from the heavenly planets and are being born as human beings. So there are a lot of flux going on. It can be any of them contributing.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then to your second question, to have a desire of going back to Godhead, that is also a desire. Yes, actually, it is also a kind of desire, but it is a very favorable desire. The highest form is expressed, highest, I should say, as expressed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he does not even desire to go back to Godhead. He is only desiring for na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, vajagadisha kamaye, mama janmani, janmanishware, bhavatat bhakti rahetu ki thoi. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, mama janmani, janmanishware, birth after birth. He doesn't even want to go back to Godhead. I simply want to be engaged in your loving service. This is actually the highest. But of course, I mean, we cannot, we may not be able to imitate this. But even if somebody desires that I want to go back to Krishna, that is a very favorable desire. At least that is a good motivation for somebody to begin the practice of Krishna consciousness. And then when a person is becoming purified, then they become very clear. It doesn't matter. A devotee is not eager that he wants to go back to God. Wherever it is, he just simply wants to be engaged in Krishna's loving service. Hell or heaven, he's happy as long as he's getting an opportunity to render services. Which is what it is. This is another expression which is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayana parastarve na kutaschena bibhyati swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyata darshinaha. This is a devotee's consciousness. Narayana parasarve, a person who is completely devoted, dedicated himself in the service, who surrendered to the Lord. What is his consciousness? His consciousness is Narayana parasarve na kutaschena bibhyati. He is fearless. Wherever I go tomorrow, doesn't matter. Swarga pavarga narakeshu. Whether he goes to heavenly planets or he goes to hellish planets, it does not matter for him. As long as apitulya, for him it's apitulyartha darshinaha. Apitulyartha darshina. For him, all these positions are equal. Because what matters for him is that he's engaged in Krishna's service. So he's in that consciousness. So these are all the symptoms of a very, very advanced devotee. But for us, we are beginning our journey. It is good to know all these things. So even if somebody has a motivation to go back to Godhead, that is also it's a very exalted desire. There are very hardly few people who have even this desire that I want to live a Krishna conscious life. So it's glorious in that sense.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yes, Isha, coming back to you.
Yeah, Prabhuji, does soul carries any memories like from its past lives into the new life?
There are some people who are able to remember their past life, but generally Krishna takes mercy upon the jiva and he gives forgetfulness. Krishna gives forgetfulness. It is said from the Lord comes remembrance, forgetfulness, both come from the Lord. So Krishna awards forgetfulness because if we were to remember our past lives, what all we did in our past life, then the whole purpose of we coming to this material world becomes defeated because we want to live a material life. We are given an opportunity to live a material life because we want to enjoy independent of Krishna. So if I were to remember all my past, in one life, maybe I was an insect and I was crushed to death under somebody's feet. In another life, probably I was some goat slaughtered. In another life, I was murdered. If I were to remember all my past life, I'll go crazy. There will be no peace in this life. So Krishna gives forgetfulness so that the jiva can enjoy this life, because that is our desire. That is why we have come. So Krishna very kindly facilitates our desire to independently enjoy by granting forgetfulness. Sometimes some people remember their past life, exceptional cases. And constantly there is a battle between their present life and their past life. In their past life, he was a fighter pilot who was shot in the World War, and the child is recalling, I was flying this plane and I died in Hiroshima, I did this, I did that. And people are puzzled, parents are puzzled, child is also not able to comprehend what's going on. So it's a very disturbing situation. But yes, some people can remember. But mercifully, Krishna sanctions forgetfulness. Otherwise, we'll go crazy. If I were to remember all my past life, I'll go crazy. I'll not be at peace. I cannot enjoy. Even in what to talk about past life. Even in our day-to-day dealings, people say, forget about the past, yeah. Think about the future. Keep moving. People say like that, no? Why they say? Because if you keep thinking about the past, you can't live your present. That's what they're saying. Chodo yaar, you just forget the past. Keep moving. Why they say? Don't carry the past with you. Live in the present. Because you cannot be peaceful. So Krishna gives forgetfulness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you will not be disturbed by all the past.
Yeah.
By past activities. All that.
But Prabhuji, the effect of the karma from the past life that we have to bear in this life, right?
That you will have to bear.
Yeah.
That's why it is said, we can choose to live we can choose to perform whatever actions we want, but we are not free. We are not free to choose the consequence of these actions. That you are not free. You are free to do whatever actions you want, but the consequence of that action you are not free to choose. That will be decided by the Lord based on what all actions there'll be an account that is maintained for every person, what all he has done, what all good things he's done, what all bad things he has done, and there'll be a judgment day. There'll be judgment based on all that. They will decide next life he should be given this body. That you cannot choose. That is given to you. You are forced. Karmana devanetrena jantu deh upapattaye striya pravishta udaram striya pravishta udaram pumsoreta kanashaya. This is third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Karmana devanetrena, under the Supreme Lord's sanction. What happens? Jantu deh upapattaye, a living entity is awarded a body. So, striya pravishta udaram pumsoreta kanashaya. The living entity resides in the semen of the father and takes shelter in the womb of the mother. So these are all described how the jiva is given the opportunity. So that decision the Lord makes the decision. Striya pravishta udaram. The jiva takes shelter in the womb of a suitable mother. It may be a pig mother, a dog mother, or a human mother. That depends on what kind of Lord's sanction is for each jiva. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have one question. We say that we are part and parcel of Krishna. So why Krishna reveals at a particular point? Why not since childhood he reveals himself? Why some people get into Krishna consciousness since childhood? Why somebody reaches at 40 years or 50 years or 60 years in KC? So what happens like that? Why not from day one we are in consciousness? We live with along with the consciousness of Krishna. And
yeah, some people from their womb they are Krishna conscious, like Prahlad Maharaj. From the womb of his mother, he was Krishna conscious. Narad Muni was instructing him as he was in the womb of his mother, Kayadu. He was the son of Hiranyakashipu. So when he grew up, and his teachers, Shanda and Amarka, they were asking him, how do you know? Because they were trying to teach the son about politics, economics, because he was the son of the king. And Shanda and Amarka were teaching all kinds of material sciences, how diplomacy, economics, and this and that. But this boy was not interested in all of that. He was simply interested in glorifying Narayana. And they were wondering, who taught you all these things? And then, because he learned from the womb of his mother, he learned. And from whom did he learn? He learned from Narada Muni, he learned. So like that, there are souls who are from the birth there Krishna conscious. Like Srila Prabhupada, he says, never was a point in my life when I have ever forgotten Radha and Krishna. That is Prabhupada's consciousness. But ordinarily, we are all continuing uh, uh, our in this life, if suppose I have been able to cultivate 10% Krishna consciousness, next life I will get an opportunity to start from 11%. So the Lord will create a suitable environment and a suitable situation, but certainly you will continue that journey from where you stopped. If you have, that's why we see there are some children who are born to devotee parents. So these are not ordinary souls. From the womb of their mother, these children are eating Krishna Prasad. They're hearing Hare Krishna mantra. When they're born, they're having everyday darshan of the Lord. They're participating in Aarti of the Lord. They're performing Sankirtana at home. This is not ordinary life. These jivas are yogis in their past life who have somehow not been successful in their Krishna conscious journey. They're advanced yogis. And now they have given a chance to be born in the family of devotees. And they will pursue from their birth they have got full opportunity to cultivate Krishna consciousness. From eating prasadam, rising early in the morning, following regulative principles, they get all this opportunity. Some people don't get this opportunity. Whole life they don't get the opportunity. So, based on, regardless of that, the mercy of the pure devotee is such that even though somebody may not have any past background of any Krishna consciousness, zero, I've not even opened my account, zero, but by the blessings of the spiritual master, by the blessings of a pure devotee, one can immediately begin his journey. That is the potency of the pure devotee. He can bless. By his blessings, even though a person has got zero Krishna conscious sukruti, in his bank balance, his spiritual bank balance is zero, but by the blessings of a pure devotee, he can immediately start. Not only start in this very life, he can complete his journey also. So that is called causeless mercy of the pure devotee. If he wishes, by his, just like you're a beggar के हाथ में क्या है? कुछ नहीं है उसके पास पैसा. He is zero. But somebody can come and give $1 million. He can come and give. Immediately you become millionaire. But it is not your effort. You have not put any effort. But that person's benevolence, that he has gifted you $1 million, you immediately became millionaire. So that is possible, and that is only possible by the blessings of a pure devotee. Although I may have no sukrit. That's why the position of spiritual master, Guru, is so important. Even if I am unqualified, by Guru's mercy, I can make progress. That is why one can access Krishna only through Guru. It is said, Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, yat kripatamaham vande shri gurum dinataranam. What's the meaning of this? Mukam karoti vachalam. A dumb man who cannot speak can become the greatest orator. Mukam karoti vachalam. Pangum langayate girim. Pangum means he's lame person. A lame person. Pangum langayate girim. He can cross over mountains. How? Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarana. By the mercy of a spiritual master. By his blessings, impossible becomes possible. So which is why, although a jiva may have no spiritual bank balance, he may not be a yogi in a true sense who's continuing his journey. But by the blessing, somebody came and gave you a book of Srila Prabhupada. Like this month now, book marathon is going. Devotees are all going and distributing books. So by the blessings of Prabhupada, you have received the book. You are reading the book. You are hearing the words of the pure devotee. Immediately, that's when you begin your journey. Although I'm not a yogi or continuing my past journey, but by blessings, yes. This is so all these possible. So this is how it is. How people begin their journey. So that is why, as devotees, we try to bring people in touch with Prabhupada. That is our duty. On our own strength, we have no ability to bless anybody. We ourselves are beggars, and we have received blessings from the spiritual master. So if I really want to help people, you bring them to Prabhupada. Bring them and give them blessings of Prabhupada. Give them prasadam, give them Prabhupada's books, introduce them to the to make them to come and hear about Prabhu, just like we are all here together, so that we can talk about Krishna's words as explained by Prabhupada. What are we talking? How are we able to talk today? Because Prabhupada is explained. If Prabhupada is not explained, then what we will talk? What do we know? We know nothing. So that is our duty. Somehow or the other, help a person come in touch with the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Then you are doing some service. Does it help?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yes, Mataji. Sindhu Mataji, you had a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's just that how do we progress once you are as an insect or an animal? How do you progress? Because you say we're not accountable when you're an animal or an insect for what you do. How does that happen?
So that's a natural process. So once the insect gives the body, it will take another body. It will take from insect to bird, bird to beast. This for a living entity, from the point of aquatic to because even in trees there are pious trees and there are impious trees. There are pious trees like mango, like there is different fruit bearing trees. They are giving something which is very valuable. These are all pious trees. There are impious trees. They cannot give anything. They can only give thorns, like the cactus, or there are so many trees which give only thorns. So in every living being, in every species, even birds, there are birds like the crow. The crow is very impious, very sinful. So the crow is attracted to rubbish, to garbage. And there are also birds like the swan, hamsa, which is attracted to very clean, pristine lakes, nice lotus flowers. It keeps itself very clean. So this swan is a very pious. Like that, in every species, there are gradations based on their piety. So the jiva will gradually keep moving up one species to another species to another species, another. Finally, after many millions of birth, he will get a human body. Automatically, he will get. Now again, in that human life, he becomes accountable for his actions. Now in this human life, if you behave irresponsibly, again you go down. Adho gachanti tamasa, again you go down to lower species, again you wait. For millions of lifetimes, you should wait. Till you get a human body. So this is going on, a merry-go-round, going on. Like they have this in the fair. They have merry-go-round. The jiva is going. That's why it is said, "Ah Brahma Bhuna Loka Kono Bhagyavan Jiva." How does this verse begin? Brahmanda Bhramite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. Ah Brahma. So the meaning is basically a jiva is constantly. Somebody said something.
No, Abrahma Bhona Loka Punaravarti.
Yeah, that is Bhagavad Gita. This is a different verse actually.
Okay.
So basically the point is the jiva is going on circling in the 14 planetary systems from one loka to another loka, one species to another species, aimlessly. He's lost. This is called samsara sagara. He's lost in this cycle of birth and death. In different species is lost. Kono Bhagyavan Jiva, the most fortunate Jiva, he gets by the blessings of Guru and Krishna. He begins the process of bhakti. Kono Bhagyavan, one most fortunate Jiva gets this opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. So we should know this. It's a very great fortune that has come upon us, that we are able to appreciate Krishna, we are able to appreciate the message of Bhagavad Gita, we are able to practice the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This is a great fortune, which is what Krishna is also saying in the Bhagavad Gita. That Manishyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yachati Siddhyet Yachatam Api Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Vitti Tattvataha. That means to understand Krishna, to approach Krishna is extremely rare for a jiva in this creation. He's lost, completely completely lost. He's going on. He's lost in so many species of life, evolving from one species to another species. Lost. Does that help, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
We'll stop for now. We'll meet again next week as we continue the second chapter. In fact, yes, we'll share information about the next sessions as it comes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.